Hola, comunidad de CABE. Hi, CABE community. It is a pleasure to connect with you on video. I want to thank you for helping me get my home video studio up and running right away to make this for you. Like many of you, I am rapidly transitioning to all online learning while simultaneously parenting children who are at home. So, con mucho corazón, I show up here with my full humanity because we are in this together. And for my presentation for the CABE community this year, I had originally planned asset-based scaffolding, a 90-minute, highly interactive professional learning with PowerPoints and video. And honestly, it's not going to translate well to this context for only 30 minutes. And also, what we all need right now is something more responsive to where we are in this pandemic. So what I bring to you in this 30-minute video is a focus still on assets, but specifically on asset-based home learning. And I invite you into my home. I'm going to be face-to-face instead of putting a PowerPoint between us. And I'm going to share with you 5 resilience strategies, 5 specific activities that students can do at home alone or with their families that are powerful for learning, that build on assets and also foster resilience. We need resilience to navigate changing times, and many of the families that we serve have resilience strategies, perhaps more so than the educators in the schools serving them. So an asset-oriented approach is actually how we reach out and we collaborate together. So because you're in my home, I have some very specific things to share with you. And the first thing I want to share to you is my go-to favorite home learning that is 100% low tech: journal writing. Give every kid a notebook and a pen, or a notebook and a pencil, or some paper tied together with string or yarn, or stapled together. This, I believe, is from me in kindergarten. Yes, it's true. I went through an old box this weekend and I found this. Now it's scribbles, it's drawing. Writing begins with all of our different expressions, okay? Here is a report that I made on English Cocker Spaniels, dogs that I love. Handwritten, low tech. Okay, I am absolutely a high-tech person, and I believe in the power of video calls, of videos, of using technology. It's very important for access and equity. And there's a lot kids can do even when they don't have the bandwidth, or even if they do get the Chromebook from the school and do get the free access from one of the companies providing free access right now. They need a chance to unplug and do something calming. So drawing and writing is absolutely powerful. Another asset-based learning strategy that is absolutely important and often undervalued in schools is the power of telling stories, family stories, right? So if you're in a position of working directly with students, and whether you're communicating by phone or email or video calls, create the conditions where kids are seeking stories, whether they talk to someone in their household and learn, hey, you tell me about a time that you faced a challenging situation. How did you overcome it? Or whether they're communicating via WhatsApp or some other method of communication with a faraway grandparent. The whole world is in this together right now, and many people are feeling very isolated. Simultaneously, you have kids who are looking for things to do, and you have overwhelmed parents who are either working or trying to figure out what to do because they've just lost work. So when you combine the power of a kid communicating with an elder and an opportunity to tell family stories, and you honor that as literacy, you honor that as learning, that's powerful. I've heard so much talk in the first 2 weeks of this pandemic about kids not having technology and kids not speaking English. Of course, that's not coming from the CABE community, because we know that speaking another language is an asset. Wow, how beautiful to have bilingual, trilingual children. We need to also focus on the assets of resilience that families have and the assets of oral language. There's something magical that's open right now for our bilingual students. Yeah, the school maybe have trouble getting everything in the home language. However, kids, even kids in English-only schools, are having an opportunity now to communicate more with people in the home. So there may be an opportunity right now for kids to build their home language in ways they haven't previously if they did not have access to multilingual education. So I'll share with you, this is Marie-Louise Olsen, my grandmother, who was an immigrant from Germany and grew up, spent most of her life in the Bronx. And I bring her picture, well, one, to share a story of something that she did that was amazing. She always sent cards. Everybody's birthday. She sent cards and letters. So again, another tech-free, asset-oriented solution is to say, what can I do that's thoughtful for somebody in my family or community? Can I write a card? Or if I have access to technology and their technology, send a friendly text. One thing that my grandmother did too, which transitions me to a third home learning strategy. My grandmother, actually, when she was near the end of her life and my aunt was helping take care of her, she asked my aunt to order me a cookbook, a blank cookbook. Basically a 3-ring binder. I mean, you could have kids make their own, decorate their own 3-ring binder. If you can get a 3-ring binder to them, I understand that is a logistical challenge. But if you're distributing free and reduced lunch, please consider not just distributing Chromebooks or whatever technology is sitting empty in empty classrooms right now, but distributing paper and pens, notebooks, distributing, if there are 3-ring binders. What my grandmother did is she gave me a 3-ring binder to keep track of family recipes. And so that's, of course, the third resilience strategy, right? Now, I live in Northern California, and like many of you Californians, I have personal experience with wildfires. Thankfully, my home did not burn in the last 2 wildfires in my town, but the wildfires were destructive. We evacuated, we went, all the schools closed at first for a short period of time and then for longer periods of time, at least 3 weeks. All professional learning was canceled, which meant for me, my work suddenly ending for several months. So the pandemic is different, but I have a lived experience with what it's like to get into fight or flight mode and then to settle in and to rally in community to take care of one another. And what we learn every time is that what matters most is if we ask each other, how are you? What do you need? How can I help? In the household, cooking is a powerful way kids can be helpful. Kids of many ages can learn, how can I help? What is one thing I can learn to cook or to prepare, right? Whether it's sorting the beans before they go into the pot. And in addition to helping family members, it's a learning opportunity, of course, right? Whether you're reading a recipe, if there's a written recipe. In my case, I brought my cookbook. Here's one cookbook. Actually, this is a recipe that I wrote with my kids once. During the PG&E power outages, we went to go get their absolute favorite soup from this restaurant that was closed. So we came home and we made it. We just tried to invent it. We tried to make it up. It was tomato soup, and we just tried to make something up with some tomato sauce. And it was halfway decent, so we wrote it down, and that's a memory that we put in the cookbook. But I also have in a cookbook my absolute favorite recipe for Thai chickpeas, which I'll be making tomorrow. I need to soak the beans first. But of course, when you're reading a recipe, that's literacy. But even when you're not reading a recipe, for kids in a home where maybe there isn't a cookbook or isn't Google's my new cookbook, right? I Google, what can I make with buttermilk? Oral language is oral history. That's literacy. So valuing parents telling recipes to kids interviewing grandparents and learning family recipes. That is asset-oriented home learning that also nourishes us, literally, right, with the food we need to eat. So far I've talked about home-based learning strategies. For quick review: writing and drawing. Give every kid a notebook and a pen. Create the conditions where kids get to draw or write to express. Not for grade and not to be judged. To express. Whether it's journaling, whether it's writing a gratitude journal, and you give them the invitation to share their voices and their words in the classroom. You create the conditions in your virtual community, whether it's on video call or with written communication. You create the conditions where kids want to share, because they know when they share their own unique expressions, they are valued. So that requires cultivating those conditions of non-judgment and acceptance, which are absolutely fundamental for us all to move forward and heal together and look out for each other and truly be creative in this time of trial and error and change. The second strategy I talked about, of course, is family stories, right? Honoring our ancestors, whether they're with us now, rest in peace, my dear grandmother, or whether we're remembering them. I'm going to have my own kids call grandparents and interview them as part of the work that they do. And then cooking. The recipes that feed us, the recipes we love. What is it your kids like to eat? What are the traditions they remember? What are the recipes that they can learn and help their family cook? Now, if you know me, I've been coming to CABE for decades. Okay, I have a picture of my son, who is now 14, with Jose Luis Orozco when he was a baby. So you maybe have seen me at CABE on the dance floor. So I just want to remind all of you, another important strategy for resilience and home learning is to play. Have fun, move, dance. Think about the role of música for so many of our kids, right? I mean, for me, salsa, merengue, super important. I also love just singer-songwriters, guitar playing, okay? I grew up with campfires and singing, and my husband plays guitar. So music is something we do for resilience. Music goes way, way, way back in the history of humanity. Drumming and dancing for resilience. Do your kids know danza, right? Do they know folklorico? Do they just like to play the latest hit that someone my age has not even heard of and dance in the kitchen? I do. So, in these times that can be trying, as they become a little more normalized, by the time you watch this video, it'll be a week later. So we'll be a week further into acceptance and adaptation and change. I really want to encourage you to support one another in emotional honesty, in checking in. What do I need? And doing the things that bring you joy and resilience. And then teaching your students to check in with themselves. How am I? What do I need? And then building on the resilience of collectivist communities, which, let me be honest, that is not my ancestry. I am descended from colonists. I am descended from one of the most individualistic cultures in the world, the culture that says, stiff upper lip, carry on, be productive, we'll get through. And I want to say that I have learned more about honoring resilience, about looking out for community from families that I lived with in Mexico, in Guatemala, and in China than I learned from my own cultural roots. So let us honor the resilience and the assets that parents bring, that families bring, in being able to ask beyond their own households, what do you need? How can I help? What does my neighbor need? How can I help? Honestly, that's more important than learning loss. It's more important that we look out for one another and that we value the cultural asset of the kids from collectivist cultures. If you look across the world at cultures being more collectivist or more individualistic, cultures throughout the Americas, cultures throughout Asia, and African American cultures more collectivist than the traditional white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And in USA, England, and Australia are among the most individualistic cultures. And I get it. I mean, those are my roots. My dad is a hard worker, pushed through anything. I mean, look at me. Here I am late in the day making this video for you, even though, quite frankly, I had an overwhelming day as a parent with kids at home, as someone reinventing my work just like you are. But I exhibited kindness to myself. I took time for walking. I'm going to take time to dance around my kitchen. And I really hope that you will do the same. Ojalá que el próximo año estemos juntos en CABE otra vez. CABE is very important to me. I look forward to it every year. I missed it last year, so I was doubly needing CABE this year to fill my heart. So please take this video as an offering of love in the CABE community and as a call to action to be a voice that cuts through all the noise about all the one-to-one learning apps. Trust me, I love them. There is value in some one-to-one learning. There is some value. And what we need right now is not just isolation and keeping kids busy. We need to leverage the power of community and connection and the value of culture and language to nourish one another. That's how we thrive.